Hi guys, it's David here from Writing Resources, and this video has been made to help you focus on Lady Macbeth's soliloquy. So this video specifically is going to have a look at the context surrounding the character and also a few of the key quotations that you need to know for the exam. This video is going to focus specifically on the character of Lady Macbeth and the soliloquy, which essentially means a solo that she does as a very key and integral part of the play. Look at the list of words below. Identify the three most appropriate words to describe the character based on your understanding so far. So don't worry about it too much if you haven't looked at Lady Macbeth in depth yet. Just have a look at the list of adjectives there and think which one best describes her character from your understanding so far. So the first one, we've got egotistic. That means that someone is really full of themselves and really arrogant. Next one is malicious. This is a very kind of interesting adjective because it shows that the person is quite angry and vengeful towards other people. We have loving, very positive adjective. Dutiful, which means that they are very respectful towards either their king or their husband or something like that. Ambitious, which means that they strive to get certain goals or achievements in their life. And loyal, which is fairly straightforward, but it means that they're committed to a person or an ideal. Once you've had a think about that, I'd like you to consider this point at the end. So did you know that due to attitudes towards women during the time, the role of Lady Macbeth would have actually been performed by a man? So that's going to be a key thing to think about when we look at the character of Lady Macbeth, is the perception of women during the time. What we're going to do is we're going to go through a quick quiz to test your understanding of the context, and this will help us to understand where you need to spend some more time in terms of your revision, or where you're comfortable or confident in terms of the text so far. Context is an extremely important factor in the play of Macbeth. Look at the statements below and decide if they are true or false. So if we have a look at the first one then, it says, Macbeth was written in 1606. So again, you need to decide whether this statement is true or false. Number 2, women and men were seen as equals. Number 3, during this time, women were supposed to be subservient to men. Now this word subservient is an extremely important word to describe the period in which Shakespeare was alive. So subservient generally means when someone is considered to be lower or less than someone else. So in this case, when we say that women were subservient to men, we mean that they weren't treated as equals, that they were in fact considered less important than men. Number 4, people blamed bad events on witches. Number 5, Macbeth was a real person. Number 6, the play was set in Ireland. Number 7, Shakespeare wrote the play to impress Queen Elizabeth. Number 8, people believed that both God and the devil were real. Class feedback. Check your answers against the ones below. So the first question was Macbeth written in 1606? You can see there that it's true. Number 2, women and men were seen as equals. That is of course false. Women had few rights during this time. Number 3, during this time, women were supposed to be subservient to men. And again, we're using that key word subservient, which means that they were thought of to be lesser, not at all equal to men during this time. So this is true. This was even the case with boys. Even though they were not adults, even young boys would still be seen to be more important or more valuable than women during this time. Number 4, so people blamed bad events on witches. So is that true or is that false? True. So things like bad crops or animals becoming ill were blamed on a curse made by a witch. Number 5, was Macbeth a real person? He was. However, he's not the same as how Shakespeare presented him. Macbeth was actually considered to be a great Scottish king. However, Shakespeare changed this character for his own gains as well. Number 6, the play was set in Ireland. Hopefully you all know that one. The play was in fact set in Scotland, so that statement there was false. Number 7, Shakespeare wrote the play to impress Queen Elizabeth. That's false. He wrote it to impress King James, who was obsessed with the idea of witches and even wrote a book on the subject as well. Number 8, people believed that both God and the devil were real. And true. People believed that they were being watched over by both spiritual beings. So check your understanding there. If you need to pause the video and look back at the questions as well, just to test your understanding, you're more than welcome to do so. And now we're going to move on and actually look at the extract itself. For the purpose of this video, we're just going to focus on a small section of Lady Macbeth's soliloquy. So the part we're going to look at says, "The raven himself is hoarse that croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. Come, you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here, and fill me from the crowd to the toe top full of direst cruelty." So now I'm just going to go through, I'm going to talk about some of the main parts, the really key parts for this section that we need to understand and annotate. So the first one is a raven. Now think about the kind of connotations that we associate with a raven. It's a distressed animal, often signifies evil actions. These are the blackbirds that we often see in horror films or gothic films that are normally associated with death. We have "Come, you spirits." Now it doesn't say specifically evil spirits, but if you think about the part of the play that this comes from, this is where Lady Macbeth is thinking very evil, very sinister thoughts. So we can infer from that that she's thinking about evil spirits to come and help her in what she wants to achieve. This is also a very important part here, under my battlements. Now this isn't something that we really adhere to these days, but back in Shakespeare's time, once you're allowed someone inside your home, people should be protected. To actually harm someone when you've given them safe passage under your roof is to be considered a real deadly sin, so something you shouldn't really ever do. Now we go on to this bit, that "tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here." So when she says unsex, a lot of people think that this means that she doesn't want to be a woman, that she wants to be a man. In fact, if you think about the idea of unsex, she means she wants to belong to neither male or female gender. So she wants to be neither man nor a woman, because she can appreciate that both of these have weaknesses. Yes, women might be physically weak or even weak in terms of their courage or something like that, but men also have weaknesses as well, which are explored elsewhere in the play. "And fill me to the crown to the toe top full of direst cruelty." So this is something that would have got a really strong reaction from the audience at the time. She is not the typical woman that we'd expect during this time as someone very nice and pleasant and typically have all those kind of womanly characteristics. She is in fact someone who wants to be filled with evil to help her carry out her ambitions. So this would have been something that had a real dramatic effect on the audience at the time. Now if you want to spend a bit more time, pause the video and make some further annotations, please feel free to do so. We're now going to have a look at a simple kind of question you can use to help demonstrate your understanding of the importance of Lady Macbeth in the play. So the question we're going to focus on is this: how has Lady Macbeth been portrayed in this extract? We're going to have a few challenges here on the right just to help us think about it and to start planning our response. The challenges range in difficulty. The first one should be fairly straightforward, and then when we get down to the mega challenge, it should be quite a difficult thing to do and should help you get ready to actually write your response. So the first thing we're going to think about is what theme is being presented in each of the quotations that we've got here on the left hand side. Can you link these to the context of the play? Again, these could be things that you know from your own lessons in English or things that we covered at the start of the video. The mega challenge: which is the most appropriate quote to answer the question, and try and think about how you justify that answer. So we have a few quotations here. These are probably some of the most important ones from Lady Macbeth. Some of them also come from other parts of the play. Hopefully they're going to be ones that you already remember. So we have "unsex me" here, which again was one that we looked at in the previous slide. Number 2, "Come to my woman's breast and take my milk for gall." Okay, again, that's a very key quotation about Lady Macbeth. If you're not too sure what that means, it might be important to go back and revise that further. Last one, "Nor heaven peep through the blanket of the dark to cry hold, hold." Again, a very important part about Lady Macbeth's soliloquy. If you'd like to go into this in more detail, please leave us a comment below and we can try and get back to you and try and help you to prepare for your exam in the best way possible. When you're ready to actually have a go at your writing, we have a success criteria on the next slide as well. So use the success criteria to help plan your response. In your response, you should Make a clear point relating back to the question. Make references to the text. Link back to the context. And consider the effect on the reader. Now, the question that we were actually looking at on this video, this isn't one that you're likely to get necessarily in the exam. Again, they can change from year to year, but it's still a really important one to practice because Lady Macbeth is a very important character. So try and use everything you've learned. I know we've only looked at a very small portion of the play there, and if you'd like to go into more detail with this, please do let us know as well. Hopefully this video has been helpful and will help you actually get a little bit of practice in terms of demonstrating your understanding of the key characters and also the context that happens within the play. If you need any additional support or help, then new videos will be added every single week. Alternatively, you can leave us a comment below or subscribe, or you could try our partner channel, Bookworm Teaching, for more lessons and guidance on all things English. Thank you guys, and all the best with all your revision in the future.